Hey, do you guys want to listen to some electro-pop music?
Whoa, you listen to that?
Just on long car trips. It helps keep me awake.
Alright, yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy MayFlwr, and as always, I hope all you guys are having a great day. Get this mic out of frame, there we go. As some of you guys probably guessed by the title, I just released my San Holo remix of Lift Me From The Ground, which is on SoundCloud right now by the time you guys are watching this. So yeah, if you guys haven't went and listened to that yet, I'll leave the links down below in the description, and you guys can go check that out and then come back to this video because that's kind of what I'm going to be going over. I really hope you guys enjoy the song, and yeah, I thought this would be like a cool opportunity to show you guys like an actual project file of mine. Instead of like a 30-second YouTube video that I made in like an hour or something. I've never really done a video like this, so I guess I'm just gonna open up the project file and like show you guys around, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's the idea for today. I guess we'll just jump right into it, so let's go. So here we are in the project file. Everything's kind of scrunched up right now because I'm trying to fit it all on screen. But yeah, this is it. It's nothing too crazy. It was actually a whole lot less organized a few sessions ago. But any chance I get when I'm working on it, when I'm not like building it or being creative, I try to organize it a lot because it just makes things a whole lot easier. But yeah, working on this remix is super fun. San Holo is definitely one of my favorite artists of all time. He's probably the most creative producer in the game right now. And the original song is easily one of my favorite tracks of the year so far. I think back in June, he played it on his EDC set, and I watched that video over and over, and I was just waiting for the song to drop. And then I got the acapella and I was like, I have to remix this. So here we are. Also, side note, I had to shut off the master chain on this project because it was killing my CPU because I'm also running OBS to film this video right now. So if things sound a little flat, that's why. But yeah, I guess we can get started. We can head over to the intro part. So this first little introduction right here is actually a piece of reverb from the original acapella, and I just chopped it up, and actually this is a chop of a chop. The original one looks like this, but it had a bunch of clicks in it, so I had to take those out. This is what that sounded like. So right here, when the real intro kicks in, I have two like things that are contributing to a lot of the ambience and kind of like the airiness of this intro. The first one's also a vocal chop. If you listen to the original song, obviously the chorus and the drop vocal is Lift Me From The Ground. And this comes from her saying lift, but I put a whole bunch of reverb on it, and it's kind of feedbacking into it. And this is what that sounds like. And also did the same thing to another word. I just thought those fit really well together, and those go on top of a piano, a reverse piano, and then some MayFlwr plugs. This is like a preset. And I also used the little reverse piano thing that I've done in a bunch of my videos where you just bounce the piano and then take it and then reverse it so it kind of goes into each other. And then of course all you have to do is add the vocals in. Talk to me, I love that sound. Also amazing vocals from the original track. I thought her and San Holo made a really good combination. So this MayFlwr pluck is also the same thing I used right here with the adds, and it just kind of adds like a little top line for a melody that kind of goes into the bigger part of the track. So this is what that sounds like alone. Alright, so now on to the crazy stuff, which is kind of this big introduction to all the synths in the song at the same time. And as you can see, I had to bounce them all out because it was killing my CPU. I had like a bunch of them open, and even some of these are combined together with other synths, so this isn't just like one sound. Maybe this one's like two, maybe this one's also two. Honestly don't know, but I just know they're all grouped together kind of. Obviously it's kind of a pain when you have to bounce stuff out, but again, I kind of like it because it slows me down. It makes you think more of the idea side than kind of just throwing stuff. It's a good combination to have both sides of that, but I guess it's good to slow down every once in a while too. So I'm gonna play all these alone without the drums just so you guys can hear them. I bounced all these out, but I also kept them on the pattern just in case I needed to adjust them later. But they're all just shut off because obviously you could look up here, the CPU is almost already maxed out even with all these off. But yeah, I know one of them for sure is just a straight up, almost harmer, just a default sound. The only thing I did on this is A and B, I just turned the unison up to 9. I can tell you that's just like the simplest layer in this whole thing. And I think it's the loudest one, I'm pretty sure. I think you can hear my cat meowing in there, sorry. So now onto the build. I just took 2 of these chord stacks and I ran it through a low pass filter, and that's what it's used for the build up. It just goes up, and as the build gets longer it kind of turns on, I guess you can say. Super easy technique just to like open things up. And I used a riser from Cymatics and a cashmere sweep, and I also put a little bit of the original build from the San Holo song right at the end. Barely turns on, but I just liked at the end he kind of had this upriser effect, and you can barely hear that in my version, but it's still kind of there. And the biggest part of the build is just the repeating of this word ground from Lift Me From The Ground. Just kind of repeats all over again, and it also gets pitched up with the snare. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. Alright, so now for the fun stuff. We got the drop pulled up right here. I guess that is next on the list. First thing I'm going to do is just play the drums for you guys, just so you can hear those, because it's kind of a weird drum loop, but I kind of made it work. And yeah, then we'll talk about the synths. And yeah, this is obviously the messiest part of the track. There's drums everywhere. So for that first little kick effect right there, obviously the first kick that has nothing on it, it sounds a little bit different from the other ones because I added 2 kind of acoustic kicks on top of it, and then I put like a kind of a boom reverb effect on it, kind of like a stompy kick drum sound. And I let that hit first, and then I have the normal kick come in, which sounds like this. I'm pretty sure Alinium does that exact same thing a lot. And yeah, it's basically just this one snare. This is from my own sample packs called Signature Snare. I have no idea where it came from, but it sounds super cool. And these also alternate, like the first one hits on a snare and the second one hits on a clap, so you can barely hear that, but I just thought that made for a cool effect going back and forth like that. And for the chords, I used the exact same chord stack that I used on the intro, but I had to cut them off because that first kick happens right there, and I didn't want that to hit at the same time. So I just shortened them up to obviously line up with the rest of the song. And that's when this ARP kicks in, and this is like literally the first thing I thought of when I was making this song. I made the chords, and then I put this ARP right on top of it, and somehow it made it all the way through the process up to now. So the coolest part of this drop is obviously the vocal chop. So this is the original one, and then it changes to this one when the chord changes right here. And this one's just pitched down, I think 200 cents. I don't want to mess with it right now. But yeah, that's what gives it the key change. I didn't actually put it in the SliceX or anything. I just chopped it up right here in the playlist. And that's kind of weird because alone it sounds kind of dark, but in context to the song it actually sounds really upbeat and happy for some reason. I'm trying to think of some more things to explain to you guys. I'm probably not going to get into all this because this is basically just turning things off and on that I couldn't fit into another bus or something. But yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can just read all these and you probably know what they do. So after the drop, it kind of cools down, and I have a reverse vocal effect, which I use for the second drop. I'll show you guys that in a second. But it's super in the background. It has a bunch of reverb on it, and it's also low pass. And this part is pretty much the same as the first vocal introduction, except I changed the drum loop around, and I added this hat thing down here. So here's where the huge synths come in again for a second time, except for this time, instead of her singing through it again, I chopped up some vocals like I did last time, but this one I only took a tiny bit of it, and that sounds like this. Lift me from the ground. And then of course we are on to the second drop of the song. With the change of the vocal chop is completely different. Took the original Lift Me From The Ground sample right here and completely reversed it, and I also pitched it up again, and I just tried to make a new line out of it. And I thought that sounded pretty cool, so I kept it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the project file. Alright, so the very last thing I'm just going to show you guys is kind of like a comparison between 3 stages of the song. The first one being like the very first thing I came up with in the session. The second one being kind of like the middle stage, and then the last one being just the final product. Just so you guys can like see how something develops from like an idea to something else and then to whatever you finish with, because it obviously changes a lot throughout the process and stuff. I guess I can just flip through these and kind of like cycle them through so you guys can see the differences.
I love that sound. Out of words when you're around. I've been trying to come down. On a high when you're around.
And at this point in the first track, this is where you're going to start seeing like the biggest differences between the first one and the final one. Just because a lot of work was put in right here, but this is what the first idea sounded like. And this is the last one. So yeah, obviously a huge difference. It is kind of cool though how some parts stick around through like the first thing you thought of. Like that background ARP is still there in the last one too. You can kind of barely hear it though, but it's still there. And lastly, I'll just cycle through on this drop from the very first one, the middle one, and the last one. And this is the coolest part to me because you get to see like what you started out with and what you ended with, and obviously it's a huge difference. And now lastly, the second drop. This is why I included this middle project, because it's not that different from the last one. But this one has a totally different second drop. It's just an idea I scrapped. It's kind of like a happy hardcore drop for the second one. But I thought it was just a little too weird for this remix, so I just didn't include it. Still is kind of a cool idea. Like I'm probably gonna keep it and make like a different version of it to play out live as like a VIP or something. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys these three comparisons because maybe you make something like the first thing and then that's where you stop, but a lot more work can be put into it. And yeah, that's kind of how you build a song. You make a really simple one with like the core idea still there, kind of like a blueprint, and then you build it and then you finalize. So this is probably all I have time for before I go over my time limit that I want to have. And yeah, maybe seeing the projects like this in order and how it develops helps some of you guys. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, that's it. Cue the outro. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've made it this far and still haven't listened to the song on SoundCloud, again, the links are in the description. You guys can go check it out there. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the song, and maybe I helped some of you guys out looking through the project file. I don't know, a bunch of you guys have suggested this video idea. If you guys ever have any questions, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Just send me a DM. I try to answer all of them. It's been getting kind of hard recently, but I do still try to answer most of them. I'm just trying to be as available to you guys as possible since you guys have helped me out so much. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you next time. Peace out.